Hello everybody, my name is Gladys. Welcome back to my channel. Are you also torn between whether physical sunscreen or chemical sunscreen is good for you? In today's video, I'll share with you how I choose sunscreen for myself because there's just too many sunscreen out there in the market and I just need one. I'm not asking for more, I just need one. Let's get started! Sunscreen! Some say chemical filters go into your bloodstream, but then it gives you higher coverage, more coverage against UVA 1 and 2. And some says physical sunscreen or mineral sunscreen doesn't go into your bloodstream, but then it gives you white cast and it doesn't give you as much coverage against UVA 1 and 2. So what can I choose? I just want one particular sunscreen that's gonna give me protection against all this harmful UV ray. Now I follow these 3 steps in choosing a sunscreen for myself so I know I'm getting the best protection I want. The first one is texture. Now there are a lot of texture that's now available in the market, whether it's a watery gel, whether it's a watery serum like kind of sunscreen, whether it's a very liquidy sunscreen, whether it's a good old-fashioned cream. And the kind of texture that you can go for depends on where you're at and depends on your skin type. So if you're living in a humid and hot environment such as Asia and you have oily skin, then you're gonna choose a sunscreen with chemical filters because chemical filter sunscreen tends to be more liquidy, more lightweight. It will feel good on your skin. It felt like nothing, literally. And so chemical filter would be your best friend. And if you're from an area the humidity is relatively low, the sun is not as bright, I would definitely go for physical sunscreen. You need that film on your skin to protect you from any kind of trans-epidermal water loss. So you can definitely benefit from cream type of sunscreen. And at the end of the day, it really depends on what kind of texture you're looking for. If you're wondering if a sunscreen is breaking you out, you can actually check whether that sunscreen contains any ingredients that could potentially cause acne. So you can visit this website called COSDNA, COSDNA.com, and under the acne tab, if the number is bigger than 3, it means that it has some potential in causing acne on your skin. So for people who have acne prone skin, make sure you stay away from those sunscreens. So you do you, choose whichever texture you prefer. Now let's move on to criteria number 2, which is the science behind those filters. Now I talked about the greatness of chemical filters. Who doesn't want a very lightweight, doesn't feel like anything type of sunscreen? However, there's a catch to these chemical filters. There's another study done by FDA saying some of the chemical filter sunscreen ingredients can get into your bloodstream. This is what my reaction to the research. One, the research was being done on people who were excessively applying 75% of their skin. That's a lot of skin. And they were reapplying 4 times every day. We don't do that. I don't do that. I don't apply sunscreen on 75% of my body. I mostly just apply them on my face and neck. And I only reapply 1 time, so I put it on 2 times every day. So, you know, the amount of sunscreen I use is significantly less than what they were testing in those research. And another thing is they only tested 6 of the chemical filters. Those are some of the few chemical filters that can be used in the US, but there are a lot of other new chemical filters that are now being used by European sunscreen and Korean sunscreen that are not included in this test. And if you have sensitive skin, definitely go for physical sunscreen because a lot of the chemical filters could potentially trigger further irritation from your skin if your skin is like extremely sensitive. And so if you're really worried, then stick to physical sunscreen. But in my case, I don't mind using chemical filter sunscreen because this is something the next research that I'm going to talk about, because from some of the studies that are being done recently on those newer chemical filters, that they actually give people better coverage against UVA 1 and UVA 2. And that's a ray where it gives you pigmentation or aging of your skin. skin. That aging is not something that you can see immediately. It's gonna accumulate all over time, and so I wanted to prevent that. The last one would be the rating that you found on the product itself. Now, normally I would go for the highest kind of protection that I can get from the sunscreen, because the higher protection I get, the more coverage I get. The reason behind is that sunscreen would actually normally wear off during the day, and that's why a lot of people say that, you know, reapply your sunscreen during the day. At least, you know, one time reapply your sunscreen, because it will wear off. How much does this sunscreen wear off? There's a study that is being done on people who are doing activities, whether it's outdoor activities, whether it's running around. SPF actually decreases 55% after 8 hours. So if you're wearing SPF 50 plus, you will get only 22.5 SPF after 8 hours, and if you're only wearing SPF 30, then your protection only gives you 13.5, which is basically like nothing. So reapplication is very important. And even if you are not doing any kind of activities, your sunscreen still decrease by 25% after 8 hours. So if you're wearing SPF 50 plus, after 8 hours you will only get SPF 37.5, and if you are wearing SPF 30, you will only get SPF 22.5. And now I know a lot of people don't like reapplying their sunscreen. Me too. So in that case, make sure you wear a sunscreen that has the highest coverage, so that it can give you enough protection throughout the day. I'm not promoting not to reapply, but I know in reality not a lot of people would reapply. So by considering that and the study that I found, so make sure you go for the highest protection as possible, because then you still got some level of protection even after 8 hours of wearing that sunscreen. However, I do think that the higher SPF PA quadruple plus, the better. You know, when the label says this, then it is giving me that kind of protection. It's actually not the case. The label, the rating that's written on the product itself might not directly indicate you are getting that kind of coverage from that sunscreen. Let me give you an example. So there was a study done by a Taiwanese doctor. He tested more than 50 sunscreen that's available in Taiwan, and he tested on people how much protection people are getting from different sunscreen, whether it's labeled as SPF 50 plus or labeled as SPF 30. And the finding is very interesting. So at the top of the list that gives you the highest coverage is this product from Avent B Protect SPF 50 plus. It gives you a very high coverage against UVA1 until 383 nm of wavelength, and it has the Boost star of 5-star, which is the highest rating in Europe. And the next sunscreen that's on the list is this Paula's Choice Resist Super Light Wrinkle Defense SPF 30, and it gives you a Boost star of 4-star and a wavelength of 377 nm. Now this gets really interesting, okay? So the next sunscreen that's on the list is Avent Mineral Cream SPF 50 plus. Now this sunscreen is also from Avent, and it's also labeled as SPF 50 plus. You must be thinking, oh, then it's gonna give me the same kind of coverage of protection just like the first B Protect. I'm sorry, it's not. As a result, this Avent mineral only sunscreen gives you only 3 stars, Boost stars, and coverage of until 374 nm of wavelength. And then the next one will be the Sofina sunscreen, labeled as SPF 50 plus, PA quadruple plus. However, it has the lowest coverage amongst all these 3 other sunscreen. It gives you only 2-star, Boost star, and a wavelength of 372 nm. He has a long list of products, but I just handpicked some of the few. And so the labeling on the product itself doesn't necessarily show. Say for example, this Paula's Choice SPF 30 actually gives you more protection against this Avent Mineral SPF 50 plus sunscreen. What kind of product you can rely on? So what I rely on is looking for particular ingredients that can be found in the sunscreen. Another study that I found on the internet on different kind of chemical filters and physical filters that's now available to be used in the market in Europe, and they find that some of the newer chemical filters that's now available to be used in Europe actually gives you better protection against UVA ray. Another study that shows that some of the European sunscreen actually gives you better coverage than some of the US made sunscreen. So what I do, I now tend to only buy European made or Korean made or Japanese made sunscreen, because one, they give me the PA rating. It tells me how much UVA protection I'm getting. Number two, they can use those newer, more sophisticated chemical filters that's now available in the market, but they're not available to be used in the US. So if you want wanted to know more about what those ingredients are, you can check out my another video talking about what kind of ingredients you should look out for when you are buying those sunscreen. I have also other video on other sunscreen that I have reviewed, which is the EVI sunscreen, another from Korea. Those are employing new sunscreen technology in the product itself. Is quite interesting. So make sure you check those videos out. So if you find this video helpful, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new video. I will see you in my next one. Bye!